development. And later on the show, Dangote admits suing NNPCL, Rano and others over fuel importation license, admits readiness to settle out of court, says events have overtaken the matter. I'll be hanging out with Adewale Adeoye and Kayode Ladede, while Babajide Kolade Utitoju joins us from Abuja. Journalist Hangout starts right now. Now let's begin with another saga involving controversial crossdresser Idris Okuneye, popularly known as Bobrisky. He emerged in another trouble, but this time he was arrested by officers of the Nigerian Immigration Service on Monday after a failed attempt to flee the country through the Seme border at about 1 in the morning. Bobrisky has been remanded at the Alagbon police custody for further investigation on his arrest, which came in the wake of unresolved legal matters, making him a person of interest and concern. All right, I'll start with you, Adewale Adeoye. At first, I thought it was a rumor, but later on, I felt like, oh, this is actually true. But what is Uncle Bob running away from?
Well, first of all, I think that he keeps surrounding himself with unhealthy controversies. And that should not be surprising to onlookers, because he has developed a culture that is antithetical to the environment where he was born. And that culture he has developed is embarrassing to the society that he lives. So the controversy that surrounds him, they are not healthy ones, and I don't think they are things that are good for him. And I think that when you are talking about the video that was exposed and all sort of things, there may be a lot of legal issues tied to these issues, the clip. And I know there are efforts to go into the roots of this matter, especially given the personality involved, that attempts were made to impugn his character. That's Mr.
Names.
Yes, who has kept glowing record, spanning over more than 3 decades. Because there are a lot of things involved in that video, whether it was manipulated, whether it is true or not. But he made a lot of seditious claims that if taken to court, he might be in another trouble. So I think in his attempt to flee the country, he should not forget that it's very easy to discover that move, especially at the border. And now that he has been arrested, there may be other issues tied to it, whether he was traveling with valid papers, whether crossing the border, whether he had a passport. So there are other legal implications. That are tied to.
Looks suspicious.
Yes, suspicious. Right? So, and why was he leaving the country? Maybe there are some other issues that are known to us. But it shows clearly that our younger people should look for the right role model.
Role model. Role models. Kaidi, let's look at the investigative panel report about Bobrisky's time at the custodial center. What do you make of it?
Unfortunately, I'm not so excited with the outcome. Why I use unfortunately is the fact that so many questions are yet to be answered. If you look at that report, as much as the first stage, I may be wrong, but I see it more as civil servant covering of civil servants, telling us that there is no proof that he spent his jail term outside the custodial center. Does it invariably mean that he actually spent it at the custodial center? That statement is not very absolute. I thought they said
there were some privileges.
That he enjoyed privileges. But they were not so categorical. If you look at that statement, I'm quoting them now. If you look at that statement in the report, is that there is no proof. There is no evidence to show,
like that, a video to show.
So that gives us the issue of what actually happened. Let us know. Privileges, is it within the custodial center, stated categorically? Why I'm saying this is linking it to what Mr. Adewale said, is to look at how do we juxtapose what really transpired. The heavy allegations that VDM has raised has pointed to one thing, that was not a reckless revelation. That was a revelation we should hold seriously. EFCC has got to give us an answer. I would have preferred an independent panel.
Okay, an independent panel, okay.
Good. Maybe I would have thought that House of Reps was quite hasty, going into that investigation. But the benefit of hindsight now is making it look like it seems they have made a little sense, because we cannot depend solely on what the Ministry of Interior is giving us. Because it might be a case of civil servant covering up civil servant. Let us see what really happened. We are questioning, we are interrogating the system. And that's what I think the minister is up to. The minister definitely is not a civil servant, but wants to sanitize the system. And if he wants to do that, he actually needs an independent panel of inquiry to really know what is going on. We've heard all kinds of tales,
all sorts of stories
about what is going on with some so-called VIPs.
Okay, right about now we have Biko joining us from Abuja. Biko, it's so great to have you join us.
Yeah, and it's so good to do this with you.
Exactly. Truthfully, I've missed you. But let's get into the conversation. What do you make of the investigative panel looking at about Bobrisky's time at the custodial center? What do you make of it? Some names have been mentioned, but what do you make of it? Let's start with that.
That is, I believe this is not the one and only panel that will look at that matter. The House of Reps is also investigating the matter. They are yet to turn in their report. And that is why someone like Bobrisky, who had been invited by the House of Reps to come and defend himself, refused to show up at the House of Reps, but could afford to attempt to sneak out of the continent of Africa using the land borders that were used during the Nadeco days. He tried to sneak out at around 1:30 a.m. He was brought to the border post in a black SUV at 1:30 a.m. Why were you traveling through the land borders at such an odd hour? You see, my people of Ade extraction in my great community, Ade, they had some excellent masquerades that we used to enjoy watching in those days. And they used to sing songs that astounded me. People will be singing, we'll be running after those marks where they will flog us, but we'll be singing those songs. And one of those songs is something that came to my mind when this Bobrisky matter came up. This latest saga. And the song goes thus. Oh, Eshuwega, Haraya Moronkom, Haraya Moronkom, Haraya Moronkom. Oh, Eshuwega, Haraya Moronkom. Tell you how controversial Bobrisky had become. Bobrisky had become so controversial that I can liken him to the kind of person that those songs were meant for, those songs for masquerades. That song, reminds me of the message that the masquerades were trying to pass. That human beings must be sensible, human beings must do what is right. Human beings must reason like the rest of us. There's no way you look at Bobrisky and tell yourself that he reasons like the rest of us. Even the way he dresses will show you that he does not reason like the rest of us. How do you, when you have not attempted, you have not face the panel that was set up to investigate a matter, a very important matter that you are trying to run away from our country. So kudos to the immigration people for doing an excellent job of apprehending him, and now he's been taken to FCID. At that place, he's not likely to have access to his makeups and the rest of them. So
and the other privileges.
Maybe, yes, you know, they too now, having read what happened and the way he has put some prison officials in trouble, they know that they have to treat him just like any common suspect.
Okay.
So where were you going at 1:30 a.m.? You are not an ADECO official. Where are you running to? Why are you running? Why are you running? So this is the thing. I'm just happy that they did the right thing. They described him as a person of interest, and that is true. Let him go and face the House of Reps. Tell the House of Reps everything that he knows.
Okay.
Because it's not just libelous matter that we're talking about here. How about those big allegations that were made about the EFCC, about prison officials?
Yes.
We need closure on those matters, and he has his own role to play in helping us to achieve closure.
In achieving that.
Kudos to the people who helped us to apprehend him. But
let me. What should we be expecting? I know that there's going to be a full report. Should that report be made public for Nigerians to see?
Oh, the report will not be meaningful if it is made private. Okay. Because this issue is a public affair. It has to do with crime. It has to do with a lot of individuals whose names have been mentioned. And the Nigerians need to know the true state of affairs. And then, just like my colleague said, that the panel that was set up is like the Ministry of Interior probing itself. Led by Magdalene Ajani, Permanent Secretary, in the same ministry. So there is a strong suspicion that the ministry is expected to cover up, given the tradition we have seen over the years in this Nigeria, to cover up itself some of its officials that may be implicated. You know,
you don't trust the whole.
Yes. So, and though they try to have Uju Aguma in the panel, who's a well-known activist, you know, with very good reputation in terms of prison reforms. But that's not enough for us to come to conclusions. In fact, we have seen signals to make us suspect that there are a lot of things that are hidden. For instance, we have been told that he had special privileges.
Yeah, the special privileges.
Special food, he could provide food for himself. Had access
I think it's also time for us to know how many others are enjoying such privileges.
Yeah,
because I'm sure it's not just Bobrisky.
Yeah, that's the pointer. The pointer for us is, trust me, Bobrisky definitely needs to be taught a lesson. He hasn't learned enough. I think the 6 months wasn't enough for him. And so he needs to now, I'm not judging him now, but I'm just saying that if he's found guilty in some of those things that he probably has done, bribing EFCC officials, then definitely it's going back to prison. And definitely, you know, once beaten, twice shy. We don't expect them to be careless again. But it's an institutional thing. It's an institutional issue. We're talking about prison. We're talking about EFCC, the anti-graft body. And so if a person, pardon my language, like Bobrisky, can circumvent the system, so what has been happening to the
over the years, the former governors
to bigger names, we can easily make an assertion that things have not been going on well.
Okay. All right, let's move straight to our next conversation. In the words of former American President Ronald Reagan, the greatest leader is not necessarily the one who does the greatest things. He is the one that gets the people to do the greatest things. In recognition of his exemplary leadership, 3 former governors of Ekiti State have commended Governor Biodun Oyebanji for his efforts in fostering peace, unity and grassroots development in the state. The 3 former governors, Niyi Adebayo, Ayodele Fayose and Shegmoni, spoke during the inauguration of various projects in the state to mark Governor Oyebanji's 2nd anniversary in office. They described him as a worthy successor and one capable of bringing more development to Ekiti State. Another former governor, Kaide Fayemi, hailed him for focusing on community development. Now let's share some of their comments with you.
Gómìnà yìí ló wá sọ gbogbo wa dọ̀rẹ́ o. Gómìnà yìí ló gbé òṣèlú kúrò láàrin wa. Ló jẹ́ ká mọ̀ pé kì í jẹ́ kí ẹbí wa kan má lò lórí. Your Excellency Governor Adebayo, we are grateful to you. Ibi tá a lọ lẹ́yìn tá a lọ commission tán pè ní Adebayo Lodge. Adebayo gbé bẹ̀, mo gbé bẹ̀, mo débẹ̀ lẹ́yìn mi ò mọ̀ pé Èkìtì la wà. Mo débẹ̀ lẹ́yìn mi ò mọ̀ yàrá mi mọ́. Your Excellency, you have done well. You have done well. Oye sọ mi ò ní ìdí àti patronize yẹn. Mi ò mọ bó ṣe ń hide o. Ọ̀dọ̀ ẹni mo wà o. Ọ̀dọ̀ ẹni mo wà. Èèyàn bá lẹ́gbẹ̀rún ẹgbẹ́ sùn torí mo wà lọ́dọ̀ ẹ̀ kán mẹ́gbẹ̀rún máa lọ o. Mo dé Èkìtì yìí, mo fẹ́ tẹ̀sí waters, mo ṣe ń bọ̀ lóru. Mọ́tò tó ń lead mi was the escort of your Excellency. Bá a ṣe ń bọ̀ throughout yẹn báwo. Your name is now on the lips of an average Ekiti man. All I want to say to you, whether you commission, you don't commission, your works will go ahead of you. People are speaking for you. They are talking about you. They want you back. And you are coming back. Excuse me. If you are not working, we will say no, you are not going that route. I've been to my house 18 times. Even if I was the one that put you in that position, even if I was the one that nominated you, I wouldn't have asked for more. Would you? Ilẹ̀ yìí á ṣe tẹ̀síwájú ló kàn mí. Ilẹ̀ yìí tóyè bá jí bá ti ń ṣe dáadáa. Ma campaign mi á bẹ́tà ti APC fún èmi mo sọ fún yín. Tí Oyèbánjí bá ń continue bó ṣe ń continue lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ yìí, I will surprise you people. A leader must be upright, must speak to power. This gentleman is leaving a legacy that will be beyond him. Mo dẹ̀ ń sọ báyìí lẹ́ni, mo dẹ̀ ní ìgbàgbọ́ pé gbogbo àwa tó ṣe gómìnà rí ní ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì la máa gbé ẹ. Gbogbo wa ni o, ẹ pósì lẹ́tà yẹn síbi tó bá yẹ kó lọ sí. Gbogbo wa pátápátá la wà lẹ́yìn Oyèbánjí, ẹni tí ò bá sí lẹ́yìn kó bọ́ síta. Ibi tá a wà ní ẹ o. Ní 2026, I will come here, you will be here. 2027, I will come by the grace of God. Oyèbánjí, you will be here. 2028, I will come, you will be here. 2029, you will invite me, I will come and commission, you will be the governor. When you are leaving 2030, àwa jọ foríkorí àdúgbò ọmọ tá a máa ṣe bí ìtìtì ẹ. Ṣé bẹ́ẹ̀ ni?
When I left there, I would never have thought that this day would ever come. I would never have thought so. But that it had come, it's a thing of pride and joy and happiness for me. Ekiti, we are lucky today to have the governor that we have. We have a hard-working governor, one that has the love of Ekiti at heart. He has done one thing that no governor before him had been able to do. He has been able to bring all of Ekiti together. My brother, my successor in office, Peter Ayodele Farishe, has stated it. He has said all the things I would have wanted to say about our governor. He has said it, that I agree with him totally. Because had he not said those things, I would have said them. So he beat me to it today. Despite the fact that we may be in different parties or different political persuasions, the first thing, the most important thing to each and every one of us should be Ekiti State. To we, the leaders, that is what it is. Who would have thought that today, myself and Fayose will be sitting down and talking, exchanging banters and everything? To God be the glory. We are witnessing what we are witnessing today. And once again, I thank God. I know that I don't need to go around publicizing it or making noise about it. All of you know.
Wow, beautiful encomium there. Biko, I'll start with you on this one. It's great to see these three former governors, sharing encomium, saying good things about Governor Oyebanji. He must be doing something right, isn't it?
No doubt about that. No doubt about that. And his government is so people-focused. One thing that I've said about this man is that he combines the traits of Fayose with that of Engineer Segun, because that's desire to get as close as possible to the grassroots. He took that from Fayose. And pragmatism, even in project execution, and etching himself in the consciousness of the people, he took that from Segun. The governor will walk into people's homes of the elderly. He will greet them like the true Omolu and be properly brought up. And he will meet them at the point of their needs. You saw what he did for the pensioners the other day.
Yes.
And all of the governors who were before him, who are still alive, he has found a way to forge a fantastic relationship with them. He goes to see them, to ask for advice about how to run the state and all that. He has brought all of them close, in spite of political
differences.
divides. And that's why you see that if Fayose, who is a PDP person, has been completely brought to the governor's side. The way it's going, Ekiti may not actually have opposition by the time he's ready to run for a second term, because the key political elements, the key opposition elements are even on his side now. I don't know how he managed to do it. To have Segun, who is opposed to Fayose in so many ways, to have him on your side, to have Fayose on your side, that's having the opposition completely on your side. So those who have interest in Ekiti governorship 2 years from now should simply give up, except the governor changes. If he continues along this path, he is the runaway favorite to win the governorship election in 2 years' time. And I do not see him changing. I do not see him, because what he's doing now is not pretending. That's his true nature. He's humble to a fault, and he's committed to working for the people.
Okay. All right. Let me come with Adewale Adeoye. Looking at all of the things the governor has done, but they also talked about the fact that he also concentrates on the rural areas, not necessarily the urban areas. But the thing is, why is it that most governors focus more on urban centers than rural areas? But you get to answer that question right after this break. We need to go on this quick break now, and when we return, the conversation continues. It's still Journalist Hangout.
wires and cable. Great quality. Now with the new look.
All right, if you just joined us, it's still Journalist Hangout. I still have Adewale Adeoye, Kaide Ladende, and we also have Biko joining us from Abuja. But Adeoye, I said most of the governors, they focus more on urban centers instead of rural areas. Why is this so? And Governor Yebanji is changing the narrative here.
Well, I think it needs a governor that is part of the culture and history of the people. This governor attended primary school in that state. He attended secondary school in that state. He attended university in that state. He only did his master's at the University of Ibadan. And he has been part of the politics in the state from the age of 27, when in 1994 he was the secretary of the committee set up for the creation of the state. And he also was the, I think, secretary of Ekiti State Development Fund. You know, he was just 27 at this time. And at 32 years, he was already advisor to the governor. He became the chief of staff. He became commissioner and then became the SSG. So since 1999, since 1994, at the age of 27, he has been part and parcel of the culture and tradition of Ekiti people. And I wouldn't say that he's focusing on rural areas. I think he's just focusing on the majority of the people. Yes. Ekiti has a population of about roughly 4 million people. And Ado Ekiti, who is the capital, maybe about 467,000 people. Okay. So if you have a policy that takes the interest of the majority, automatically the people will see that you are working more in rural communities across. Because in Ado Ekiti too, you can feel its impact. They are talking about ring road, you know, that circle we should actually open up Ekiti to Oyo, Ogun, and all the frontier states. So I think the summary of the governor we are talking about is just the demonstration of rare wisdom in managing resources and manpower. Because Ekiti has had a tradition of bitter politics since 1999 that actually led to the death killings of people to the extent that Ekiti almost became the axis of violence in political decorum, political lexicon of Nigeria. And because of the subjective conditions at that time, you know. But now he came in, and if you look at when he came in barely 2 years ago, look at the margin. He scored 187,000. And the next person scored about 80,000 votes. Then the third person, 67,000. If you combine the two votes, you know, his own vote was still, higher than those people. And we are not talking about Segun Oni, Fayose, Adebayo. These are the key pillars, Fayemi.
Exactly.
Pillars of politics in Ekiti State. So if all of them are coming together to say, look, we are in support of this person, they are speaking for the people. If they are speaking otherwise, it will have been contradictory to the feelings of the ordinary man on the street. So they are actually, catching it on the moment. They know that this man is performing. And I think credit also goes to his predecessors who recognize that quality in him. And he did one thing before that election. He did a kind of survey. He brought in experts who conducted survey about 3 occasions. And everybody was pointing alongside of the current governor that, look, this is the best person I think who can do the job. And I think he has been empowered by the quality of the wife that he has, who is a professor, who is also, grew up in that state and a princess from the royal home. So I think he's a potential president of Nigeria. We should watch out for him.
Well, some people might want to say that Ekiti State was created late. October 1st, 1996. So they really need to do a lot of things to catch up. But what other areas, if you're to advise the governor, what other areas do you think the governor needs to be looking at to bring the much-needed development to the state?
I was just waiting for Wale not to go to that, Adewale not to go to that part, because I was going to say that, what more, I don't want to talk about the governor again. I just want to talk about the potency in the statements coming from the former governors. This means a lot for those of us who have been covering elections in Ekiti State. That government house, Fayose was pointing to, that he said he couldn't recognize it. you hardly see governors, former governors, make that kind of statements. Governors don't want people to outshine them. Former governors don't want people to outshine them. Former presidents don't want people to outshine them. For people to say, I can't recognize where I used to sleep, it means a whole lot for me.
It means a whole lot.
It therefore means that people who do things that matters, I think is one philosopher that quoted, they don't stay on it, they don't talk about it. It's people around them that will sing their songs. And that is what we saw. You know, those statements are strong, they are powerful. This was a state where, if you have heard of Idosi, you know, it was bloody. It was terrible. Journalists were almost maimed, especially from this TVC here. You know, they had to escape, you know, from being killed, being lynched. That was how terrible Ekiti was. And for all these former governors to shower encomium on someone 18 times visit, that sounds very, very out of this world. So it speaks volume about him. So talking about Ekiti State, where you should focus on, we know what Ekiti State is, a civil service state. It's where teachers, you don't play with teachers, you don't do all those things. And I remember one of those statements that Vayoshi told me then when I had one-on-one interview with him, and he said, hey, I'm not interested in industrializing the state. Oh, I want to focus on my people. That was where the idea of stomach infrastructure came up. But this is a man who is giving attention to all this, industrializing the state, giving us what Ekiti represents. You know, we grew up to know Ekiti as the most intellectually savvy state, and they are representing that. They are telling us that we have what it takes. And this is someone who has taught us that the more educated you are, the more humble you become.
All right, then. Let's move straight to our next conversation. In the realm of business, proactive conflict management can save time, resources, and relationships. In line with this, Dangote Refinery has acknowledged initiating legal action against the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, Rano Oil, and 5 others over import licenses granted them by the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA. However, Dangote has also expressed a willingness to settle the matter amicably, suggesting that the circumstances surrounding the issue have evolved significantly since the lawsuit was filed. All right, yet again, I'll start with you, BKO, on this matter. Let's talk about the veracity of the new development, because some would say that, well, the parties involved, they've resolved their differences, and but do you think there are other dimensions to this matter beyond the clarification given by the Dangote Chief Corporate Communications Officer, Tony Chejina? Is there something else we need to know?
I don't know about people resolving their differences. I don't know at all. Some of the people mentioned, some of the entities mentioned in this story did not even know that a case had been filed against them.
Oh, really?
It came as a shock. It came as a shock to them. This thing was kept under wraps since September 6, when the matter was filed. We didn't read it in any newspaper. The people concerned were not aware. NNPC, for example, was shocked to discover that a case had been filed against it. No Nigerian newspaper got the information until I think Nairametrics decided, got it and then leaked it to Nigerians. It's a good decision that Dangote has taken to settle the matter out of court or withdraw the matter. If you are not interested in sustaining a matter, why would you allow it to go on in court? Because as we speak, the matter is yet to be withdrawn from court. They have made a promise that they will withdraw the matter from court. That's where we stand. Yes, you can say that, it's an issue that is still, but Nigerians did not know about it. Still, but it had not been withdrawn from court, except if it was withdrawn today. So the response of the Dangote authorities to the thing was not to deny, because they couldn't deny, but they said, oh, we will withdraw this matter out of court because the issue is already overflowed. Let me say without equivocation that most petroleum producing countries, most crude oil producing countries import. Saudi Arabia in 2022 alone imported crude oil valued at $650 million, $650 million from Nigeria, $650 million from Nigeria, and 712 from United Arab Emirates. So Saudi Arabia are the market leaders in terms of refining across the world, refining for export. They are the market leaders, but they still import. They import crude oil from Nigeria to blend their own crude oil, which is not as clean as our own, and then sell. So it is not entirely a terrible thing to import petroleum products from abroad. If you want to achieve energy security, is one of the things that countries do. There is no country that is sensible that will want to rely solely on one refinery. As it is now, since successive governments have not been responsible enough to get our refineries working, we now rely on Dangote refinery. But it's an extremely dangerous thing to rely on one refinery. What if there's a problem with that refinery, or there's an urgent need for a turnaround? Exactly. What are we going to do? Those who are emotionally looking at this matter and saying, if we have, if Dangote can give us sufficient petrol, why should we import from abroad?
Yeah, some people have said that with that one.
That is taking undue risk. And no country takes such a risk. There is something called energy security. You cannot promote energy security, you cannot promote it when there is monopoly. It will not happen. And Dangote also it did the right thing by withdrawing this matter, because I have not seen where a court would say, oh, there has to be monopoly, therefore all of you cannot import. How about sufficiency for us? The NNPC, as we speak today, the NNPC between September 15 and October 20, the NNPC expects that Dangote will have delivered 1.5 billion liters. It has delivered 317 million liters. So, because they are supposed to deliver 25 million liters a day, that has not been achieved. I'm giving facts and figures.
But
that
Biko,
has not been achieved.
Biko.
1.5 billion liters. Okay. NNPC has received just 317 million liters. Is that not a big shortfall? So if we do not import to augment what is produced at home currently, we are going to have scarcity. We are going to have scarcity. Somebody should answer the question. If you are supposed to deliver 1.5 billion liters between September 15 and October 20, and you have delivered only 317 million liters, what do we call that? That's a shortfall that we must find a way to deal with somewhere. We can't be emotional about every issue. No, we have to tell ourselves the truth.
But Biko,
tell the truth and let the devil be ashamed.
Biko, let me come to you on that. What you just said, because there was a report. What you're talking about, it was on the pages of the Nation newspaper, saying that Dangote has not been able to meet has been able to meet just 26% of the 1.065. But some have argued that does NNPC have the financial?
That's about 30%.
Yeah, but they said that does NNPC have the financial backing to lift petrol, the product from Dangote, saying that it's not about the shortfall, it's because NNPC does not have the financial backing. What do you have to say to that?
I'm talking about what they have delivered. I'm not interested in petty arguments. I'm talking about what has been delivered to the NNPC. Okay, Nigerian marketers are saying, let us also be part of this. And the government has said, okay, marketers, go and buy directly from NNPC, from Dangote. We don't want NNPC to be the sole off-taker. What has happened? Are the marketers able to buy as we speak? You can ask marketers whether they've been permitted to buy. You can't have a situation in which you prefer to sell only to the NNPC. Sell to the marketers.
Okay.
If you produce and what you are producing is less in price to what is imported.
Okay.
What is the fear about? Let them bring product from abroad. They are the ones who will suffer now. Because we expect that what is brought from abroad will be more expensive than what is produced locally. That was why we were all excited. But if you are worried that some people want to bring in products, then it means that you probably want to sell product higher than the cost of imported one. Because you can deal with them by selling at a price lower than the imported version.
Okay.
And that will take them out of business. It's just a logical thing. If your own produce locally is cheaper than what they are bringing from abroad, who will buy now? You chase them out of business. You run them out of town. That's what I expect Dangote to do, not to be trying to sue the NNPC and this and that. No, there is no basis for that. If Saudi Arabia can buy $560 million worth of crude oil from Nigeria, they produce too now. But they are still importing from Nigeria, importing from UAE.
Okay.
And that's the market leader. If the market leader, even America continues to import as we speak. So it's not even a strange thing to say that, okay, people are importing. It's not a strange thing. The big oil producing countries of the world import.
All right. Even though some have argued, looking at this matter, and said, oh, it maybe probably goes against the PIA. But let's look at it. They've said they've resolved it, they will withdraw it and all of it. But one will be forced to ask, what is the essence of this court case? Does it show that there was a lack of faith in government in this matter? What are your thoughts there?
Well, I think we are aware that Dangote sued for 100 billion damages. And the case started in June, even though, just like he said, I think the first went to court in 5 newspapers.
Yes.
Unless we see the case documents.
The case documents.
Yeah, we will not be able to be too sure exactly of what they were asking for. But I think as at that time in June, I think Dangote was facing a lot of challenges.
Yeah, the back and forth.
Back and forth. They didn't want to sell crude to him. Some people were saying that his diesel had too much sulfur that they had to bring in as of rep and all that too. So probably, I'm not trying to think for him, but probably he had decided to go to court because he felt there were conscious attempts to sabotage him. But beyond that, I think there's a major problem which Babajide has raised, and that is the evil of capitalist monopoly. In a capitalist economy, the caution should be to liberalize, the economy. We should have as many importers as possible. We should have as many refineries as possible. That is actually what can crash the price. The US has about 132 refineries.
Okay.
Egypt has 12. Japan has 22, even though Japan hasn't got much crude oil. Okay. It produces about 123,000 barrels per day. India, that has one of the biggest refineries in the world, still has about India has about 23 refineries, even though it has one that produces about 1.4 million barrels per day. So this idea of putting all our hope in one refinery, I think it's a major problem. And I believe that for the future of oil, and management of oil and distribution of oil resources, we need to get more refineries. Now, I think they gave license to about 25 modular refineries. Only 5 of them are, functional in a very little. So we cannot put the strategic oil industry on why is it that the Southwest states, for instance, cannot think of having a refinery in Ondo State?
That's another.
Yeah, or maybe the Niger Delta people have one in Bayelsa. I think the more the merrier. So I submit that we should have more refineries, and even if people want to import, they should be allowed to import refined products. Okay. So at the end of the day, Nigerians will have the options of choosing between different oil.
All right. Biko talked about the issue of the shortfall, and that report was on the pages of the Nation newspaper. Now, looking at that, what is the way forward?
I wanted to say this, and I will but say it, and to say that God bless Biko, and by extension, God bless Mr. Adewale, because I was just going to wait for this angle to be buttressed, and that's the fact that that case was shocking to many of us. In fact, yesterday, talking about the business of newsroom, even the business editor was saying this must be fake news. It's not possible. Now they've admitted that they sued. This NNPC. I think for whatever reasons, I think Adewale has done justice by giving possible reasons why they did that. But the president has stepped in. The president has come out to say, sell crude to this guy in Naira. And so, like they have said, event has overtaken it. But when we need to scold Dangote refinery, we need to do that. True. And I think that's what BK has done. Capitalism, monopoly will not work. It will not work. People have been doing this business before now. Okay. And so you can bamboozle people on social media and tell them that, you have the capacity to feed everybody. We cannot depend on one person. Yeah. We cannot depend on one company. We need to allow the market to speak. I mean, to drive the flow. So that's the way forward. For the way forward is, like you said, we are not even sure this case has been withdrawn. It has to be withdrawn if we need to advise him. Let it be withdrawn clearly. If you don't even trust government, but I think it's a lost case. I'm not in the position to determine what will come out of the case. But forget it that you will stop others from importing. It's not going to happen. That they should withdraw their license. It's not going to happen. Where is it done? Okay. Please, let the market
all right, Biko, away from the Dangote issue, I just want your thoughts on this. Yesterday, there was a 1 million barrel per day initiative that was launched by the upstream and midstream sectors, saying that they will 1 million barrel per day. I just want your thoughts on it. How feasible is this, and what are the challenges that needs to be conquered? I just want your thoughts on it, maybe in just 1 minute, before we wrap up the show.
No, quickly, Mr. President knows that we cannot strengthen the Naira unless we earn more dollars. And our biggest earner remains crude oil. So we are not producing enough now because a lot of what we are producing gets stolen. So they must, for us to get to that threshold, because during the Jonathan era, we were actually producing 2.2 million barrels a day. And it's possible. It's possible. We need to defeat oil theft. Then we need to improve capacity. Allow more foreign companies to be able to invest in Nigeria. As we speak now, some of the foreign companies are even leaving. So there's a production shortage that we have to address. We need to encourage more investors to come and invest. Because we are not getting new investors. And that's one of the big problems. So then there are some oil wells that have been lying fallow. They just touched them and left them like that. In River State, for example, there are oil wells where we are not producing, they are just there.
Okay. Going land, yeah.
We need to bring in people who will make use of these oil wells, produce from them, so that we can. If I can tell you that we can do 400,000 more.
1.4.
Identify those oil wells where they are, and then get even local players who are interested.
Okay.
But we must defeat oil theft. A lot of what is stolen, a lot of what we produce is stolen. We have to deal with that problem.
Okay.
If we deal with this problem decisively, we can do more than 1.8 million barrels a day. And that will help us. Our currency will become stronger because we will earn a lot more.
Exactly.
And it will reflect positively on the economy.
Exactly.
Because right now, 1,700 naira to $1 is something that puts me to shame as a Nigerian. Yes, it's really embarrassing. So we need greater liquidity, forex liquidity, and that will happen when we sell a lot more.
Yeah. Thank you very much, as always, Biko, joining us from Abuja. Thank you so much for joining the show. Like I said, I've missed you. I also want to say a big thank you to Adeole Adeoye. Thank you very much for having this conversation with us. And also, Kaidi Ladendi.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you so much. And also, thank you to all the great guys on the PCR and the MCR. Thank you very much for making us have a great show. And that's it on Journalist Hangout today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode tonight at 11 and join us on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. for Journalist Hangout. On Sunday, we are on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Benga Oreshegun. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV. Are you tired of spending countless hours in the kitchen, wrestling with cumbersome appliances, and juggling multiple tasks just to prepare a single meal? Frustrated with messy cleanups from different tools that never seem to get the job done right? Do you wish there was one solution that could handle all your blending, chopping, and grinding needs effortlessly? Introducing the CookX 4-in-1 Blender. It's a food processor, a mixer, a grinder, a blender, and a juicer, all in one. Our CookX 4-in-1 blender is here to take your cooking to a whole new level. This versatile blender comes with 3 convenient cup sizes, each designed for specific tasks to make your life easier. First, the 650 ml cup, perfect for mincing meat, pounding yam, and chopping vegetables. Save time and effort with this powerful accessory. Next, the 450 ml cup, ideal for grinding coffee, spices, and more. And the 1.8 liter cup, perfect for blending fruits for smoothies, peppers, and yes, even blending beans. Lastly, the CookX 4-in-1 blender comes with a convenient filter. Now, you can create delicious, nutritious smoothies and meals with ease. The secret of the CookX blender is the 800-watt motor combined with a precision extractor blade that gives you the power to turn ordinary foods into extraordinary foods. And different speeds give you the complete control you need. Savory stew, delicious egusi, tasty blended beans for akara and moi moi, pounded yam, and everything in between.
The CookX 4-in-1 blender has been a game changer for me. It takes the hassle out of meal prep and lets me whip up healthy treats for my family in no time.
The CookX 4-in-1 blender is the only blender I use in my kitchen. Its variable speed control lets me achieve the exact texture I need for each dish.
With its easy twist locking technology and powerful motor, the CookX 4-in-1 blender is engineered to tackle blending challenge you face.
The global best-selling CookX 4-in-1 blender is now available in Nigeria, exclusively from ShopX TV. Call the number on the screen now and get the CookX 4-in-1 blender for just 189,915 naira. The CookX 4-in-1 blender comes with one powerful 800W motor base, one easy twist extractor blade, one 1.8 liter cup, one 650 ml cup, one 450 ml cup, one filter, 2 lids, and one dry grinder. All this for just 189,915 naira. you can get the Cook Expo in 1 blender with 2 easy payments of 94,975 naira. That's right, pay twice to get this amazing blender. But hurry, this exclusive ShopX TV offer is for a limited period only.
The preceding was a paid presentation brought to you by Shop.
When shippers groan under the weight of ceaseless charges that tend to throw them off balance in the sector, Nigerian Shippers Council promptly comes to their rescue.
We will all of us work together as a team to move our country and indeed Shippers Council forward.
To get justice done without the money for any charges.
It's Tidbit, the world and the first to break the 24,000 TEU mark.
Allah Illan Drive port is born again. Finally, the eagle has landed.
The essence of a dry port is to decongest the port and make the shipping services nearer to shippers.
Join us for a smooth sail on your favorite maritime program, The Shipper, brought to you by Nigerian Shippers Council, Nigeria's port economic regulator.
For over 6 decades, the Bank of Industry, BOI, has been driving Nigeria's industrial development through financial and business support services.
Bank of Industry is one organization that has kept their words with the Nigerian businesses.
I have been able to expand my business from catering, event management, into water production.
A single digit that Bank of Industry offers is the only solution to stay afloat.